But we have a special treat before we get on to that part of the program where we hear from all the candidates and recognize all of the local electeds. I invited here a young man who actually got to spend some time with the Donald. And, you know, we had him here several years ago, and who knew? At that point, I think The Apprentice had just begun, and nobody in their right mind thought that somebody named Donald Trump would ever run for president. But this young man that I'm about to introduce you to, Dr. Randal Pinkett, is going to share with you just a couple of little anecdotes involving the Donald. Randal?
Dave, I'm just blown away by Randall. I think he's fantastic.
I don't know if that gives me credibility or if that discredits me nowadays. Thanks, Peg, for the very kind remarks. I have a few things I want to share with you very briefly, as brief as I can be. Pull this out. So 50 years ago, almost to the day, September 27th, 1966. So we're talking 50 years and 3 weeks ago from today. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. did an interview with Mike Wallace of CBS. This was 3 years after the March on Washington, when riots were taking place across the country and rifts in the civil rights movement were widening. At that crossroads, Dr. King offered one of my favorite quotes from Dr. King, where he said, "A riot is the language of the unheard." A riot is the language of the unheard. Well, tonight, as we gather 21 days before a presidential election, I contend that we are at another crossroads, and the growing cry of the American electorate is a cry for outsiders. A cry for a cadre of political leaders who meet two criteria. First, they have no former political experience. And second, they believe our political system is broken, and a core part of their agenda is to reform that system. We saw shades of this with the progressive movement of Bernie Sanders. We see it prominently in the disastrous campaign of Donald Trump. In other words, whereas the call to elected officials of the 20th century was a call to public service catalyzed by insiders, the call to elected officials of the 21st century is a call to public service and a prominent call to public reform catalyzed by outsiders. That is, to serve the public and reform government so it can better serve the public. We can either accept this or we can move to the 51st state of the union, the state of denial. So if Dr. King said that riots are the language of the unheard in reference to a civil rights crossroads of the 20th century, then I believe we are at a political crossroads of the 21st century, and I submit my own quote, which says the following: "Outsiders give voice to the discontented." Outsiders give voice to the discontented. Now, I was the winner of the 4th season of Donald Trump's reality television show, The Apprentice. Before Donald ran for office, the most popular question I was asked was, "Is his hair real?" And my answer was, well, it has to be real because he could afford better hair. Now the question I'm asked most frequently is he serious? Is he serious? I worked for Donald for a year. I managed a $110 million renovation of his casinos in Atlantic City, all of which are now defunct. I know Donald personally. I've worked with him closely, but let me be very, very, very clear. Somerset Democrats, and I'm a proud resident of Somerset, might I say. I live about 5 minutes from here. It's really great to be here as a part of this event. But let me just say this to be very clear. Donald Trump cannot and will not become the next president of the United States. I'm not going. Hillary Clinton will be the next president. And as Democrats, we will once again make history in electing the first woman commander-in-chief. Ever since Donald announced his candidacy, I've been aggressively campaigning against Donald I organized a press conference of other former Apprentice candidates, denouncing his candidacy publicly, and I've been working closely with Hillary Clinton's campaign as a sort of national surrogate for small business owners. In doing so, I've become an informal expert on the factors that have led to Donald's rise, which I believe are important for us to understand because we cannot continue down the path, and Senator Menendez and I were just talking about this, that we absolutely must learn from the factors that have led us to where we are today and reverse these trends. Otherwise, more outsiders will give voice to the discontented, or better stated, more rise of outsiders will reflect more rise of discontent. And there are several factors that have led to Donald's rise. Among them, and I won't go through all of them, but among them has been Donald's fame. That his hosting of The Apprentice, which catapulted his celebrity, certainly gave him a measure of celebrity capital, which he's been cashing in on ever since he announced his candidacy. Let me read you a few excerpts from some previous articles. A guy with zero political experience. A man never nominated to run for office. People are hurting. That's not reality TV, that's reality, period. This is a serious time that calls for a serious leadership, not a time to be taking a Sarah Palin gambit. Who do these excerpts sound like they're talking about? Somebody knows where I'm going. Who do they sound like they're talking about? Donald Trump. But guess who those quotes were talking about? Me. I'll give you a little quick history. 2009, I was quoted by then Governor John Corzine to be his running mate for Lieutenant Governor of New Jersey. Some of you may remember this, or maybe out of your minds. And both, at the time, people kept saying over and over and over again during that window of potential candidacy, they would say the following: we are not ready for a reality television star in politics. And all I can say to that now is, look at where we find ourselves today. Our chickens have come home to roost. Bonnie and Senator Menendez. And so that was fame, public frustration, fear-mongering, foolishness has all been a part of Donald's campaign. Let me just say this in closing. That at a time when we've lost a measure of public faith in government, at a time when the trust between elected officials and the electorate has been somewhat eroded, at a time when Americans are fearful of terrorism and mass shootings and the like, and at a time when fear-mongering has scapegoated immigrants and Muslims and persons of color, and the list goes on, for the challenges that we face today, we need leadership. More now than ever before. We need leadership now more than before. Not just leadership that will talk the talk but walk the walk, and not implement changes not on someday but on Monday. And the good news is I believe we have that leadership here in Somerset County. I believe we have that kind of leadership in Peg and Zenon. I believe we have that leadership in Senator Menendez and Congresswoman Watson Coleman and Senator Smith. I believe we have that leadership in Assemblyman Danielson and Zwicker. And I believe we have that leadership in Doug Singletary and Daniel Russo, who will be elected on November 8th. I started with a quote from Dr. King, so I will close with a quote from Dr. King. Dr. King said the following: "It will take a small committed minority to work unrelentingly to win the uncommitted majority. Such a group may well transform America's greatest dilemma into her most glorious opportunity." I therefore look to each and every one of you whose names I've named and who are in this room to transform America's greatest dilemma, where we find ourselves today with Donald Trump even being close to the presidency. That if outsiders give voice to the discontented, you can help transform that greatest dilemma into America's most glorious opportunity to reestablish trust, to work together, to restore faith in government. God bless you, and thank you. Another round of applause for Randal Pinkett. Thank you so so much for joining us again. It is so great to see you all, Somerset County.